are the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
Good morning, Santa Barbara teen sports listeners. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday.
This is a whole hour of Santa Barbara teen athlete. Woo! And all those people and businesses. Well, I don't even know where I'm going this morning.
That support those teen athletes.
Thank God you were here this morning, Dominique Hackett.
Good morning, Erica.
I was like a little stupid this morning. That's what happens. And so I didn't have my coffee.
Here's your coffee. I'm giving it to you now.
Thank you. Oh, my goodness.
What color motif are you wearing today? That is
Pink.
Really very cool.
Yeah, so I do a little bit of numerology, and today is my 8th day, so it is a pink day.
Oh, we like that. Oh, my goodness. Well, I tell you one thing. I love the pink on you. It's in your color wheel.
Thank you.
And you love it. And you're going to have a story. We're going to open up with your story this morning, but let's go around the room and see who else we have. And I guess it's a pink hat day today, too, because we've got Terri Cooper, Dr. Energy, and it's a hat day for you, right?
Yes, but it's not pink. Have you seen the optometrist?
No, it's a hat
It's
day.
black and white, like a lot of thinking in this country nowadays.
It's a zebra day.
Zebra day.
It's a zebra day. Exactly.
Good morning. I'm doing really well, and I'm thrilled to be here for this very important topic today. So thank you for asking me to join you. This is Terri Cooper, marriage and family therapist, Dr. Energy, who is not so energetic at the moment because it's earlier than I'm usually rolling over about now.
I tell you, I don't know.
We'll get you cranked up.
Thank you.
I tell you,
yes.
I mean, it must be all the chemicals that I'm smelling, you know? That's just sort of...
From the painting?
Yeah, I go. That's my new thing right now. So I have a new hobby. I'm doing a lot of painting.
But you're not covered in it today.
I know, right?
Like you were last week.
Dr. D, you haven't seen her legs. The stripes on her legs.
She is
look
a
at my
living
legs.
motif.
Yeah, look at my legs. Here you go. I roll around it. That's my new
She's
thing.
our Jackson Pollock.
Right?
So Erica's been on this inspired mission to create art that she will be selling in order to support the nonprofits here in town.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I've seen them. They're really beautiful. She has this talent that has emerged and is truly magnificent.
Yeah, well, Dr.
Thank
Energy's.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, well, I didn't get to finish.
Okay,
Like she's Dr. Energy's helped me work through things. Okay? She says, "Go deeper."
No, you don't have issues,
go
do
deeper,
you?
Erica, you need to go deeper. So I'm trying. I'm trying.
She doesn't have issues. No,
I'm trying. I'm trying.
No,
Crying.
deeper. I'm crying.
I'm crying. I'm like, oh, more tears. Yeah, no, it's working.
Can I tell a story?
Yeah, sure. Oh, it's story time. Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. I love stories.
I was in San Diego and I was visiting an artist friend, and we went to a restaurant and there were these placemats for children to color in. So because I was with an artist, I wanted to color very well, carefully, and in the lines, and I was just very meticulously doing that. Oh, God is coming to speak to us. The winds blew through. So she picks up her crayons and she starts coloring all over the place, and not inside the lines at all. And my little kid got so upset with her that I called the waitress over and said, "She's not coloring inside the lines." And from that emerged a workshop called Coloring Outside the Lines, a workshop for the closet artist.
Wow.
And that was about people's constrictions versus the freedom to express themselves, which I think is a relevant topic today.
I like it. I love how
Good
stuff
segue.
starts.
Good
I love
segue.
how stuff
Yeah.
starts. I love
Yes.
that. There's a book on the beginnings of things like that.
It's called the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God, you're killing me.
At 8 in the morning. Very impressive.
My God, that's
Okay,
awesome.
that is a great segue into my story this
There you
morning.
go.
Oh my
Yay.
God. Good. Wait, let me get me a sip of my coffee. Go.
All right, this is a real fast story. Do people know there's a gentleman, English poet, his name is Lord Byron, and it's a story about Lord Byron. So last century, over 100 years ago, this gentleman was in a religious college, and along with a whole bunch of other students, he had an exam. And the exam was to write a paper about the story in the Bible that talks about Jesus turning water into wine. Right? So he's sitting there with 50 other students, and the proctor's watching him, and he hasn't written a thing. He hasn't put a single word on his piece of paper. And the proctor's watching the time, and the time's clicking away. And it's getting down to the bottom of the hour when everyone has to turn the papers in. So the proctor walks up to Lord Byron and he says, "You have to put down something. You can't just give me a blank piece of paper." And Lord Byron picks up his pen and writes one sentence. And the sentence is very famous. "The water met its master and blushed." And the reason why I'm telling this story is life is about being. So the story in the Bible about the water turning to wine was Jesus didn't do anything. Jesus being created all the miracles that are told about in the Bible. And that's a story to us. It's about authenticity of the human experience and about our being who we are. And this is part of what we're going to be talking about today in our future segments, because we have a guest that we're going to have on the show, and we're going to talk about an authentic human experience, just expressing who we are, our beingness.
Wow.
Thank you. That was a beautiful story. At first, I didn't get it, but
I
then
didn't get it either.
when you said the wine,
Just like,
my brain
you looked
gelled.
at me and I looked at you, and I'm like, you're smarter than me. So I was like, and when you looked upstairs, and I'm like, what are you looking at the ceiling for? Then I got what you were going
Well,
at.
in
You were
my
going to God,
defense,
too.
your 1% is my 100%. So New Testament stuff is a little
I
bit,
know.
what'd he say? Was this before or after his bar mitzvah? You know?
I was like,
It was
okay,
part of
so-
his bar mitzvah speech.
Right. So this is, I mean, it's kind of a deep story, but it has to do with our purpose in life is to be who we are. Our purpose in life is to be authentic in sharing our human experience. And relationship is about sharing feelings. And so the guest that we have to bring on the show is my son, Aiden. And perhaps we can talk more about it after a break.
Break? You want to take a break?
If you'd like.
We
Sure.
like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't talk about you much today at all.
Well, I was, which is
Can I
fine.
say one thing?
Which
No,
is-
you kind of like hobbled in and you're kind of quiet today. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
No, but you hobbled in. What happened?
Just a little tenderness, probably the moving around during the fire.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, my God, the fire. Have you recovered from that?
pulling the luggage in and out of
Yeah.
the trunk and upstairs and downstairs.
Poor
and-
baby.
oh my God! It
Thank
was
goodness
crazy.
for insurance, right?
I was grateful for that. Grateful
Talk
for
about
that.
insurance. That's right. We love insurance.
By the way,
Or
I
do we
actually
ever?
have a story that I think it relates.
Okay.
I'm not going to recite it word for word, but it's written. It's actually a song by a great storyteller, Harry Chapin. And it has to do with this little kid. He went to school for his very first day of school, and he grabbed his crayons and he started to draw, and he was putting colors all over the paper because that's what he saw. And his teacher comes up and asks him, what's he doing? And he says, well, I'm painting flowers. And the teacher says, well, it's not the time for art, young man. Besides, flowers are red and green. And the chorus of the song is there are so many colors in the rainbow and so forth and so on. But the teacher replies, flowers are red and green leaves are green. There's only one way to draw flowers, and you'll do it the way everybody is doing it. And so she throws him in the corner and says, you can come out when you figure out that this is the way it's done. Then he goes to a new school, and he's sitting there and he's drawing red and green flowers. And the teacher says, well, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm drawing flowers. And she says, well, but there's so many colors. He says, and then he quotes the same line. Flowers are red and green leaves are green. There's no other way to see flowers than the way they've always been seen. And, of course, she's the one who says, but there's so many colors in the rainbow. And I think that's one of the things that I think we'll be talking about today is that, even to dovetail off of what you were saying, Dominique, that we're all human beings, so there's that similarity. But each one of us is individual. We have so many different talents and abilities. And I have to say that one of the things that struck me years ago when I was talking about another similar subject, the thing that I thought of first was, well, wait a minute, why are these people doing this? Okay. And then it dawned on me, they're not happy. They're not happy the way they are. What's wrong? And then I heard a piece on NPR about a study that just came out about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in this country and how that's going. And there are certain segments of our society who don't have They may have life, but they certainly don't have liberty, and they certainly are not allowed to pursue happiness. And to me, that's kind of what this is all about.
Awesome.
So-
Very well put. All right, cool. Let's take a little break, hey?
Okay.
And thank you again for all those awesome commercials.
You're welcome.
I love listening to our commercials.
I have fun putting them together.
You're doing such a good job. I love it. All right. So stay tuned for more after these messages. God bless Santa Barbara. We are back, and this is the Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
Yes. Dominique, where else
9
can you find-
a.m..
Yeah. Where else can you find us?
I like YouTube.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yes.
And we've got Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And our website.
Yes.
teensportsradio.com.
We got a nice pic. Yes.
And the president's favorite vehicle for communication, Twitter.
That's it. So funny. Hey, got a nice pic from, I think it was Sicily, wasn't it? Max? Arcadia? Lounging in Italy with the Teen Sports Radio T-shirt. I love that. Thank you very much from a pic from Italy. I like
Teen
that.
Sports Radio going global.
That's it. We love that. All right. So, Dominique, I'm going to let you take the reins here.
I have a guest
Yes.
today. And my guest
Put your hands together.
Woo!
I like that.
is Aiden Colbert. And Aiden Colbert is a rugby player. And Aiden attended San Luis Obispo. Yeah.
No, I attended UC Santa Cruz.
There we go.
For 1 year. I was a rugby player for 1 year. I'm no longer a rugby player. That was a long time ago, but it was really fun, and we went to nationals. Yay!
The slugs. The banana slugs.
Yes, we were the banana slugs.
All right. And I've got two reasons to bring Aiden on the show. Number one, I did not get a chance to actually watch a rugby game. And I'd love to ask you some questions about the difference between rugby and football because, Aiden, I've heard you express that everyone should get a chance to play rugby.
Absolutely.
And then number two, I'm also introducing my son, Aiden, who has a different experience in life than how would you say it?
A lot of people. I don't think you noticed that I was your son for many, many years.
Yes.
It's confusing for you.
Very. But first of all, can I ask you some questions about rugby?
Sure.
So the difference between rugby and football, when I watch the game, it looks like the ball's going lateral and everybody's like grabbing a hold of it and huddling. What's the purpose of the huddle?
Man, you're going to make me try to remember these terms that I haven't used for many years. But so the lateral football movement is because you're not allowed to throw the football forward in rugby. You have to throw it either lateral or behind you, and it's actually usually behind you. And running it when you grab it and then you run forward in order to get more downs, whatever it's called. I don't know. But so there's a lot of different terms in rugby. I think you might be talking about the scrum, which is I'm pretty sure. Well, why did the scrum happen? I think it was when somebody. Man, you are asking me questions that I was not prepared for. The scrum is a great moment when everybody sort of locks arms with their own teammates, and then the other side locks arms with their teammates, and they basically do kind of like a tug of war with the ball, but it's the opposite of a tug of war because you're actually pushing. You're trying to push your side forward, and so that the ball ends up on your side only. And man, why are you going? You're leading it with a question that is very complicated for me. But okay, sure.
Well, my reason for bringing this up is my memory of you being on the rugby team is that you had a lot of people on the team having a human experience similar to you.
Okay, so like I'm transgender, and everybody here seems to be like jumping around this and hasn't even said that word yet. But I'm transgender, and a lot of people on my team were also LGBT. I was on the women's team at UC Santa Cruz, but our team was made up with a lot of people who were LGBT and also non-binary, which is a term I'll define later or now, whenever. And it was a really great experience because everybody was very welcoming. And that was one of the great things about being on a sports team was that I could be a comrade with all these people, all these diverse people is really cool.
And you could have your own experience of who you were in an environment where you weren't being judged, because right now there's a lot of judgment that seems to go on when anyone has an experience, or at least this is my experience, that when anyone has an experience where their gender is different than heterosexual. And the reason why we're having this conversation is we want to focus on teens and sharing some of the things that you experienced, Aiden, when you were a kid growing up, because I didn't recognize that you were having a male experience while being in a female body. How do you even begin to ask the questions if you meet someone and you realize that they're having a different experience than you are? How do you start the conversation?
Hey, so I don't want to be rude, but what pronouns do you go by?
Nice.
You can ask that question. And it's not rude. It's actually the most polite question you could possibly ask a person. And they might tell you, oh, I go by female pronouns. I go by she, her. Or they might say, I go by he, him. Or they might say, I go by they. And I go by neutral pronouns. Or they might say some other pronoun. There's actually a lot of different sets of pronouns out there. The most popular pronouns are he, him, she, her, and they, them. But there are other ones as well. And I think a lot of people think that it is impolite to ask or be confused about someone's gender, and the most polite thing you can possibly do is ask and allow them the opportunity to tell you.
There was a television show, still is, called Saturday Night Live, and they had a character called Pat. Remember Pat?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Pat, you couldn't tell what Pat was. And the standing joke was, of course, that you were always trying to figure out by what Pat said or did, the people in the skit, to determine her gender or his gender. And you never did find out what he or she, their orientation. And it was a skit and a joke, and I hope we've come a lot further than that kind of consciousness about the challenge and the opportunities to express oneself authentically and not be made fun of.
Yeah. I remember that skit, and it was a negative skit, but at the same time, it was a representation that people probably could look at and go, hey, I feel a little bit like Pat today.
I like that. So when you were 12 years old and experiencing being a kid, what are some of the things that you wish that someone would have told you?
I wish that I had even heard the term transgender. At the time when I was 12, I'd never heard it before. I'd never seen anybody. Nobody had ever even expressed that you could identify as anything other than what people told you were.
So can you give us a really good definition for transgender?
Okay, so transgender means that you identify as a gender that is not the gender that your doctor put on your birth certificate or that society in general has designated you to be.
Or your physiology would indicate.
Okay.
And, you know, there are some people on either side of the coin that say, like for homosexuals, one side says homosexuals are born, not made. Others say, well, they become that way due to negative influences. And I would like you to clarify, if you would, is there a difference between, or is there the phenomena of somebody choosing to identify as transgender, or is it something that you simply grow up knowing about yourself, or am I too black and whiting it?
That's very much too black and white.
Okay. Thank you.
Everybody has really distinct and unique stories about realizing or deciding maybe about what gender they would like to be seen as. That's why when I'm talking right now, I'm not actually talking for all transgender people, because not everybody's going to have the same experience as me in how they realized what gender they wanted to be seen as. So, wait a minute, I lost my frame of conversation.
Well, it was a question about whether transgenders are born or made.
Oh yeah, so I'm not sure. And if you're made to be transgender by hormones, is that important? Or maybe it's your spirit? I don't know. These questions are very complicated. And I don't think they really matter all that much to the individual.
I find it interesting that two things on your pronouns. I'd have trouble even asking that question. What pronouns would you like me to use?
Sure.
I would be asking, what is your name? And I would refer to you by your name. I don't care what your gender is. I need to know your name.
Well, the other interesting thing is that we're talking about everything that's natural. However someone is experiencing life in a human body, that is natural.
Yeah. There's also a biological element here that I remember learning in, I think it was high school biology. I think it was high school biology. Every single human being who has ever, does exist, or will ever exist started out as a female.
Yep.
Everybody. Doesn't matter how macho the guy is today, he was a female when he was created, when the two cells came together to create the zygote and so on and so forth. It was only a Y chromosome.
Right.
And then, I don't know if it was DNA, I don't know if it was somebody playing a card game and whoever won, you get an X and, oh no, you get a Y. I don't know how that was determined. All I know is that according to my upbringing in biology, we were all female.
Yeah, the process of gender and sex happening in the embryo is really complicated, and it has so many different aspects, and that's why we have so much diversity today in the real world.
Yeah.
And this is a really important question in regards to teens and sports, because with a transgendered question, how are teens in schools handling this? And Aiden, you pointed out to me that the California Education Department actually has something on their website that explores this.
Yes, there's a...
You know what we're going to do? And we have all that information. We're going to share that. But what we'll do is we'll take a quick little break.
Okay.
So this is great. And basically, Dominique, you hit it best, because when Aiden flew in to talk to us, and such an eloquent speaker, and this is something we haven't really touched on in the last 6 years, and we had such a great, eloquent conversation at dinner that one night, and you were so gracious to come out on the show. And I just wanted to open up the door, because you said it best, Dominique, and just to be able to have a conversation about it.
Yeah,
right?
People don't know how to language the subject.
Yeah,
so
that's
we
what we
are
want to do.
Stumbling through trying to simply language the subject in a way that is compassionate about everyone's experience in life.
Exactly.
And by the way, in the first segment, because we didn't mention the term transgender, had nothing to do with being afraid of saying it.
Right.
It was teasing the audience.
Exactly.
It was called a tease.
I know, you were teasing me too much because I was the audience, and it was really, I totally understand what you're doing, but I was getting tired of it.
There you go. Surprise! Let's take a little break. This is Erica Salda. We'll be back with a lot more after these messages. We are back, and this is the Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in every single Tuesday at 9 a.m. Woo! I love it. Don't you love it?
Yes.
I love it. I love today.
So ask me your question.
Oh, we got questions we got to ask. Good.
Okay, so here's my question. You mentioned that it took you a while to recognize that your daughter was actually your son. And I would like you to speak to our listening audience and perhaps inform and assist parents who are realizing this about their own children, and how best to handle that as a child of a transgender, as a mother of a transgender child.
Sure. So, I'm having an interesting experience as well as Aiden having an interesting experience, because my relationship to how I taught my kids about basically sex education and so forth was supernatural, just like everybody else. And so my experience with Aiden was that Aiden was in a girl's world and was a girl. So I had no idea that Aiden was having a different experience because I was busy working, right? But Aiden's grades started to falter, and my husband and I could tell that Aiden wasn't happy. So we started trying to ask more questions. We had no idea that it had anything related to gender or experience in the body. And Aiden actually later on explained to me what dysphoria meant. And that really helped me to understand some of the confusion going on. But Aiden just one day said, hey, I'm sad because I have a crush on someone. And when Aiden shared who he had a crush on, it was a crush on a girl. So at that point, as a mom, I was like, okay, I have a daughter who's having an experience of having a crush on another girl. And I was totally okay with that because I grew up with what I called my two gay uncles. So my parents had a computer company, and their two best employees were two gentlemen who were together in a very loving relationship. And so I grew up knowing that the drawing between the lines in regards to sexuality was just out the door. It was like, no, you're a human being having a human experience and you love people however they are. So that's how I approached Aiden, was just loving Aiden for Aiden's experience. What I missed, though, was that Aiden was so identifying with being a male that it was very frustrating being in the body that he was in. And even when I try to express it, a lot of times later on I'll have a conversation with Aiden, and Aiden will correct me because I don't know how Aiden's experiencing life, and I don't know how anyone's experiencing life. And I think that's part of why Aiden's being so compassionate about saying, hey, this is his experience of being transgendered, not everyone's experience. And I think that's part of the problem in languaging what's going on in relation to gender.
Not to generalize.
Yeah, we can't even generalize
people with anyone.
Exactly.
At any moment in time, things can change.
And the thing is, this is so important for teens because teens are forming their view of what they're going to be in the world. And teens in sports are gathering their sense of who they are, and especially in relation to how they're relating to their gender or not relating to their gender. So this question is an understanding and compassionate understanding of the confusion that can possibly happen is really important. So, Aiden, I wanted to just ask you, what are more of the things that you wish you would have been told, other than transgender and even defining transgender, but what are the more things that you wish you would have had at 12 that you can offer to kids that may be experiencing... And their parents experiencing some dysphoria?
Okay. That's a very complicated question, so let me break it down. So one of the things that I think that parents can do for their kids, regardless of whether they feel as if they might be having questions about their gender or sexuality, is talk about it. Bring up current events or things like that and express their support of transgender people, of people being able to have their authentic experience in gender and that sort of stuff. And just let the children know that they have a safe space to express themselves to their parents. And that's massively important, I think.
A lot of homosexual kids talk about their parents' religions and how their parents are not willing to accept who they are. And so what do you do with... I shouldn't say you, because we keep stressing it's individual, and you had an accepting environment. What would you say to kids who don't have an accepting environment because of their parents' attitudes? Can they reach out into the community in any way?
Definitely they can reach out into the community. And I think it's very important to understand that kids can understand and recognize when they're in an unsafe environment to come out, and they'll pick and choose when they're ready and who they're ready to talk to. And so we're going to have information about a lifeline that we can, let's see here. Hold on a second. We're going to have information about a phone number that people can call. And I'm really bad at reading things online, so I'll have someone else read it.
Oh, what lovely small type.
So funny.
Okay, this is from a website called Trans Lifeline. And it has some telephone numbers, and one for the United States, and I'll repeat it twice, is area code 87... No, it's not. It's area code, right? 877? Or zip code 965-8860. Again, 877-565-8860.
That's great.
The most important thing is conversation. We all need to be talking.
That's awesome. Hey, let's take another quick little break. Lots of awesome commercials headed your way. This is Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Will be back with a lot more after these messages. We are back, and this is the Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday
at 9 a.m. If you've just joined us, you are late. We've got a hot topic here. All right. So just to sew it back up again, and I have a question for you. You know, going back to your rugby days, and I just want to be specific here. You know, coached here for like 27 years and did pretty much 4 years old up to 8th grade. So for me personally, I've always incorporated, you know, having the little ones that I did up to 8th grade, being a coach, and always try to create a chemistry. So if I've seen, thousands of kids that I've coached, I've always tried to, when, say, for example, if you have, you know, a line drill and you get the kids when they're little and the ones that skip really good, okay? So I'm like, okay, so we've got to work on your skills, so we'll do a skipping drill, okay? So you could be good at something, all right? And then it's ironic now, because when you see in basketball drills, you'll always have that skipping drill, okay? Just like, yeah, some mom started that 25 years ago, right? Because it's good for your knees and get those knees up and everything. So segueing to you when you were 17, okay, and you were playing rugby, and then you were on this team that had a lot of, how many girls were on the team?
We had a total of 18 people on the team,
okay,
which is really funny because that wasn't very many more people on the team than you could possibly like have on the field.
Okay.
So if anybody ever injured themselves, then if too many people injured themselves, we wouldn't have been able to play.
Okay, so there you go. So as far as the experience, your coaching staff and everything like that, I mean, because as a coach, I can pretty much, you know, visualize, you know, but my job as a coach is to have everybody play, have everybody have a good experience, and I don't label anybody because I'm like your mom. I just want everybody to have a good experience, and I just go by name. I don't care about anything else. My job is to just have everybody have a good human experience. I mean, that's why I'm here to serve the community. So, in your experience playing sports as a 17-year-old, tell me about the coaches and the experience of rugby, like, and how they got you guys as a group and how that all played out.
So it was a interesting experience.
You're 17 years old.
17 years
right.
old. So my girlfriend was like, "Hey, there's these rugby players. They're super hot. You should go play rugby." And I was like, "That sounds like a good idea." So I went down to the field where, you know, everyone was like loosening up and doing the stretches and stuff like that. And I was like, so I'm kind of interested in playing rugby. And they're like, yes, thank you. Awesome. We need people to play rugby because the team was very small. And as when they were like stretching and stuff, everybody was introducing themselves. And like, although I wasn't particularly out at home, I was out at school. And so my name is Aden, and I actually go by male pronouns. And they're like, great, that's cool. Like 3 other people on the team are the same. They all go by, some of them were non-binary, which means they didn't identify as either male or female, and they went by they pronouns, and another one was transgender, and he went by male pronouns.
Awesome.
But all of them, none of us were taking testosterone, so it was it didn't matter, so we could all be on the women's team.
Fantastic.
So explain that. That's the key, whether you're taking testosterone or not. So if you're in high school and you identify as male and you're in a female body, what team would you be on?
Well, actually, this is kind of cool. According to a very new bill as of 2014, if you identify as male, then you can be on the men's team. And if you identify as female, you can be on the women's team. And the question of what hormones you're taking doesn't go into effect. It's up to what you identify as.
Nice. In California.
In California.
Right.
In California only as of 2014. And
nice.
This is super cool.
See, that's why it's important. That's why I want to get this out, you know, just to have a dialogue, like you said, just to be able to communicate it, because it does it does matter. We need to have this conversation and just to be able to talk about it.
But to go back to that, in college sports, when this sort of stuff starts to matter even more, and there's lots of questions about doping and stuff, if you're taking testosterone, you cannot be on the women's team because it would be a question of taking an enhancing drug.
Exactly.
And so we did have someone who used to be on the team, and he was super duper fast, but unfortunately he'd started to take testosterone, and he couldn't be on the women's team anymore.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Which is great because now he could be on the men's team.
Right. Got you. All right.
So it's really about just figuring out how you're enjoying life, and that's the main thing to pass on to teens is please don't find a safe place where you can talk and express who you really are and what makes you happy.
Nice.
So I'm curious, Aiden, I brought this up at the front end of the program. How has your experience of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness been?
It's always a really winding road, and figuring out like what the definition of what is going to be like my happiness is very confusing and has taken a lot of left and right turns, but I wouldn't have changed a minute of it.
So also just to share, in our household, you had one parent that was accepting, but one parent that had a hard time with that. How did you handle your father's initial response to not accepting how you were experiencing reality?
I was very sensitive, so I didn't talk about it. And it's probably one of the reasons why I remained closeted for so long until I went away to college, was because I didn't want to have to deal with talking to him about it. And it's actually only recently that we've had a conversation, and he has finally expressed his support and started calling me by male pronouns, which makes me really relieved and happy that I don't have to deal with that question anymore.
So just real quick, can you explain what dysphoria is? And it's because I had a hard time understanding why this was so important.
Okay, so dysphoria is a term that means an unhappy feeling. It's really actually quite vague. It just means a feeling of uncomfortableness. And it's kind of sort of the opposite of euphoria. Euphoria is happiness, sometimes without reason. Dysphoria can be unhappiness, sometimes without reason.
The actual clinical term is bummed out.
Exactly. And so my experience of, so you can be dysphoric about your physical appearance and your body and stuff. I guess the best way for me to describe being transgender is when I look out into the world, I see myself as looking through a male body, but when I look into the mirror, I see myself in a body that is not what people would generally assume is male. And so that's my experience of dysphoria. But other people have different experiences and would describe it differently.
I find it interesting, too, and this goes back a little ways, because first it was just, heterosexual. That was easy. It was simple. And then you had the gay and lesbian, and I'm thinking, okay, I can wrap my head around that. Okay, I've got that. That's just 3. That I can work with that. And now it's like it's exploded. And the one thing that always frustrated me, and I could never understand this, of those people who were upset about this whole thing, especially the whole argument over the last, within the last 10 years over same-sex marriages, was to those who were opposed to them. What are you afraid of? That these people are going to threaten your relationship with your spouse? That they're going to come in and try to convert you or convert him or her? That was my biggest frustration in trying to understand the argument against. So now I'm wondering. Now we're dealing with transgender, which I don't think we ever really dealt with until the 21st century here. And I'm going to guess that in history, we're going to go back through the history books and we're going to find that there have been certain major characters.
Oh, yeah, it's always existed.
It's always been there.
But do you find that is still, that is also pervading as far as the transgender issue, or that people think that this is some kind of something that they can catch, or you're going to try to convert them, or those kinds of things, those kinds of silly constructs
You're saying
fear.
silly, but there's a
Well,
huge religious population.
I understand
that believes that God doesn't mean it to be that way. So
Well, then I'll retract the word silly, because to me there's a misunderstanding or a lack of understanding, even on my part. I'm trying to understand the terminology too. I'd rather refer to Aiden as Aiden.
Well, I think that's the whole point here, is that we're talking about enjoying a natural, authentic human experience, and it doesn't matter how someone is experiencing gender. And what we're trying to talk about with our teens is that, hey, if you're feeling a certain amount of sadness or a disconnect from the people that you're relating to, it's okay. You're actually having a normal, real experience. And we just wanted to help you find a safe space to express yourself in so that you can find who you are.
Yeah.
It could be up to 2% or even more percentage of the population have these experiences, probably even more, of having questions about their gender identity. So it's a really, really common experience that many people now and throughout history have actually experienced, and people have written about it for hundreds of years.
And I have to say that from my perspective, disabilities, when I was a kid growing up in school, that was the same issue, trying to find a place to fit in.
you mentioned dysphoria, and I was trying to think of the other word. I said bummed out to be cute, but the word is dysmorphia. Okay, the incongruence between how you feel and how you look. And they use that term clinically to refer to people who have eating disorders. And I think in this case also to people who, which, as you said, you look in the mirror and you don't see who you are. And I don't want to misquote you because I don't remember the exact words you said.
A lot of trans people feel a little bit awkward about people associating eating disorders and transgender stuff, because with eating disorders you treat the way that they think that they look, and you try to teach them that they don't actually look the way they think they look. Versus transgender, what people have found that has the most positive results is to actually treat the body, because the mind cannot be so easily changed.
Cool.
Thank
let's
you.
Let's put a little hand together. Woo! Hey, this is a big show, a lot of show. We got a lot of commercials we got to get to. Hey, this is Erica Salda. Thank you for being so patient with us here today. We're going to take a short little break. This is Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. We'll be back. There's a lot more after these messages. We are back, and this is the Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday
at 9 a.m. Finally, Susan West. Woo! Woo! You're stunning. You're beautiful.
Hi.
You're having a good hair day.
It helps.
I know. Wow.
I just want to say that there's so many platforms for parents to talk to their children about drugs, alcohol, safe sex. We don't have a template out here to talk to children about their sexual orientation or their genders. And because we're not addressing those with the children, we're finding that a lot of our children are becoming to drugs and to alcohol to escape the feelings, because they don't even know how to approach the parents. And I think the biggest thing that we have to do is give our children support in the homes. And if they know they're accepted and loved in the home, everything else falls into place. So I think we need to educate the parents on how to address this, because we as parents, we know our children are whatever they are. They're happy, they're skinny, they're gay, they're transgender. But addressing that with a child is hard, because we can talk about drugs with our kids all day. There's a platform. There's no platform for parents to have that right way to approach it. And it's all about educating and keeping our kids involved in sports, teen sports, keeping them busy, teaching the coaches how to address the issues.
Very well
Team
put.
sports.
Very well put.
Yeah.
It's all about teen sports.
Yeah, I think
Very well
that's
put.
super important. That I think it's super cool that the California has decided to make it the law that you can be on the sports team that you need to be on. As a transgender person, you can be on whichever team that you identify with, and I think that is super awesome.
Love California. Love California.
And Aiden, thank you so much for coming and speaking to people about your experience, because as a parent, we're still growing and learning how to relate. And it doesn't matter whether you chose to have an experience as a heterosexual, gay, trans, it doesn't matter. As parents, we're learning how to relate.
And I got to say one thing. I think I got 3 of the most awesomest queens in the planet. And I think Dominique, Susan, and Terri, I think you guys 3 should put your heads together. I think you should make that template. Make that template! Make that template! You got Aiden. You guys, you've got it all together. I mean, what are you going to do? You want to repeat on? You'll get some more information to us, right? You got a hotline,
Or maybe, Susan, would you?
you got the highlight. Everybody needs glasses. Okay. Here, do the glasses.
Okay.
All right.
So again, Trans Lifeline, it's a nonprofit dedicated to the well-being of transgender people. And you can reach them at 877-565-8860. They'll be listening for you.
There you go.
Call them with any of your questions and you will get support. And all the people who answer the phone are transgenders, so they know the experience firsthand.
Santa Barbara, this was kind of a hot subject, and we so appreciate your listening today. We love you, Santa Barbara. God bless you. See you next week. Woo!
You're the best alive.